All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Greenbox Gaming. I would say Greenbox Gaming plays Impossible Landscapes, but today, for those of you who are with us live or who are watching the VOD later, you will notice that we again are a man down. Jean, our lovely Benedict, apparently can't be bothered to record while in the airport or while flying back to South Africa, which I think is a complete cop-out, personally.
Yeah. It's kind of bullshit how he has to relocate himself.
Yeah, how dare he?
But I am, however, excited to introduce
Excuse
a
me?
new thing into the podcast. A new segment.
Oh, you do have the name. Yeah, Dace came up with the name. Did you...
Everybody, I'm delighted to welcome you to the Gnarly Arby's Corner with the Beef and Cheddar Chums, a.k.a. the Horsey Boys. How does that hit you?
We're going to workshop it.
Horsey Sauce Boys.
The Horsey Sauce Boys.
With the Horsey Sauce Boys.
Well, yeah, I guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm Joe. I'm normally the handler. And of course, I have Brad and Dace with me here. What we were going to do today is we'd actually posted up on social media, messaged out to our patrons, and asked if anybody had any questions. And we figured we'd do a little Q&A and then just kind of do like a little, I don't know, like a little check-in and just see how everybody's doing and how they feel about the campaign and stuff. I guess we kind of did something like that after season 1. We kind of had, but it was really kind of just interspersed with the in-between home scene stuff, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that being said, guys, what do you guys think about things? I know I know this is not the longest game we've ever played, because Brad's Skystone campaign went longer.
When did we start this?
God, I guess we started it back in October last year.
It's definitely the most consistent game we've played.
It's gonna be the longest. I doubt we'll
if we run it all the way to the end. Oh yeah, it's gonna be the longest. Oh no, what are you guys feeling about it from this point?
Confusion. I think that's the thing that dominates Delta Green. That's like the thing that differentiates it between D&D and Delta Green. It's like you're just in a constant state of confusion, which is not a bad place to be.
Do you think it's confusion in a way that's like it's not like necessarily unstructured chaos, is it? But it's like it's the unraveling, the mystery part.
Yeah, we're all pretty new to playing Delta Green, and the way I'm internalizing it is like I've sort of stopped trying to actively unravel the mystery and just sort of be along for the ride. And if a clue drops that like cracks everything open, then that's cool.
Right.
But if it doesn't, then I'm just fucking here to play. Because it's impossible to unravel the mystery. Like, it's evident that the way these things are written, you just have to progress. Does that make any sense?
No, that's pretty good. Well, like, okay, so Brad, apparently you're the guy who ruins everybody's movies for them by identifying the twist ahead of time.
No, he's really good at like picking up on the threads of plots. So I'm actually interested to see if you got a theory, Brad.
I'm pretty sure I figured it out.
All of it.
All of it.
You got it all figured out.
Can you spoil it for us? In the Horsey Sauce Boys corner?
Arby's was behind it the entire time.
I knew it.
Arby's is the big bad.
I neglected to mention up top that we are actually sponsored by Arby's now.
We are not.
And there will be
do not sue us.
ad breaks.
Please.
And I would also like to thank Trent Reznor for providing this background music.
What?
Why Trent Reznor? Where did that come from?
Are you listening to it?
No, I have it turned all the way down.
Well,
like
Brad,
this-
do you have any real, like, do you have an idea, or like, do you have a theory?
No.
All right.
Next question.
Amazing.
I don't
Just
think
straight
I
up.
don't I don't have anything that's profound or new to say. I don't think that I haven't already expressed.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're coming off of, I believe, episode 18, where you guys had met with Agent Charlotte, and gotten some background info on Operation Mercy, which was the mission that V-Cell was assigned. And then right when we got done, you guys were kind of scoping out Ophelia Citri's, her place to get in there and see what she's up to. And something that I think was interesting that Day said last time, like it's kind of sad. You're like, oh man, wouldn't it be crazy if this was like a canonical character, like that Charlotte from C-Cell was like a canonical person in this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, like, and the thing was that's not written in. I was just like, God, like, what am I going to do here? Like, because I could see the direction you guys were going. And then I remembered, I was like, wait a second, there's all this stuff in the Handler's Guide about what higher Delta Green actually looks like.
Yeah, that was honestly really cool. That was one of the cooler scenes. Like, there was a certain gravity to it that I felt. I don't know if it came, like, I personally felt it. Like,
No,
this
that was a
woman
good
has
scene.
some authority.
It was a good scene. I mean, the biggest thing that was been completely fucked up, because you had this whole, before we started this chapter 2, whatever, for lack of a better this India Moon thing.
Yeah.
You were saying that time's passed and now there's like a difference between Delta Green and the organization.
Right.
But our characters don't know that. So that's what I was worried about. Before I guess now we're kind of, since we met this person, it's officially, okay, we're still part of Delta Green. I thought it was like some bullshit, like the organization didn't know anything about us because we were like some other sect on that first mission. It's just like we're out here on our own, and like I thought it was going to go down that road, essentially.
Yeah, well, in the canonical lore, I believe in 2002, or is it 2001? 2002 with a 9/11. It's 2002, right?
One.
Is it one?
One.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always get that confused. So after 9/11, there's some other stuff that goes on with. So before that, like up to the 70s, Delta Green is an official government program. Up into the 70s, like it slowly evolves from this thing that happens in like back in the 20s in Massachusetts. It slowly evolves into Delta Green but something happened. There's a big operation in the 70s that's like goes on during Vietnam where shit just gets totally messed up, and basically the program and another organization comes up that does not have the same goals. And the name of that organization isn't super important, but another organization basically comes up and gets involved in some supernatural stuff itself, and Delta Green goes underground. And those are, I think they call them like the cowboy years, where the old members of Delta Green are out there doing their job completely separate from any government sponsorship or like, if you get burned, you're burned kind of thing. And then in 2001, what's that?
Question. Is there a module that goes through the Vietnam years? Because that sounds...
So the thing is like,
amazing.
I think some of those modules, there are definitely stuff based in those years, 100%. A lot of that stuff got written back when Delta Green was still a Call of Cthulhu module.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So basically,
Is it?
Go ahead.
Is it something that happened like in the Vietnam era, or is it something that happened like actually in the Vietnam War
In
that caused the schism?
Vietnam.
That sounds cool as fuck, and I want to play it.
There is there's a part, you know, like we were talking about you know, like some of the other podcasts we listen to. There is a part in that is alluded to in
Yeah.
in oh my god, their name. A Glass Cannon, in the Glass Cannon podcast.
Glass Cannon podcast.
Yeah, that's just one of my favorite Delta Green series.
They
there's a
alluded
part
to
that's
that incident.
they allude to the father of one of the characters being involved in a Delta Green program in Vietnam.
Oh.
Okay.
What's that?
Idea.
Okay.
If we should happen to run this campaign long enough to finish it, and we were to go back and play a module in Vietnam, for all the listeners out there, my dad was a Vietnam vet named Cotton Ruthven, and he is a fucking character. If we did that, I would absolutely play my dad.
You just
Cotton Ruthven.
play your dad. Old, what was he? Was
Yes.
he headhunter or what was his call sign? Like
Bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter. That's right. Yeah.
So I would just play Cotton Ruthven. It'd be so fucking amazing. Like with his
bizarre laugh.
You're gonna have to drink
Yes, that's the first thing.
a lot more beers during the session.
Yeah, he's got a laugh that's like, like it sounds like he's in pain.
That's pretty good.
I just remember speaking of him and beers, when I was over at your house.
Do we
want to
do this? Do we want to do this right here?
Yeah, let's dive into it.
There was
Why
holes
not?
in the driveway, and his solution to filling up the hole was drinking beers, throwing the beer in the hole, and then running over it till it was level.
Did it
And then
work?
covering that with dirt. I guess so. It's still got some holes in that driveway.
Like, he is truly an unhinged person that has just somehow managed to exist this long.
Hey man, like a lot of times, my mic has been muted on the stream this entire time. Yeah, sometimes fact is stranger than fiction. You know, like
Yeah.
but yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Just about how Delta Green, like the history of kind of how it goes.
So wait, so what's going on now? There is two organizations, right?
So basically, in 2001, the old organization, old Delta Green, kind of splits. There are still the old school guys who are like, no, we don't want to be involved with the government. We don't want to answer to politicians. We don't want to be a part of it. We're going to do things the same way. We're fine. We're fine. Yeah, we're all dying off. And yeah, it's, you know, we have no support and we're fine. We'll just do it the way we've always done it. Like, so that's the Outlaws. And you guys, M-Cell is a part of the Outlaws. The Outlaws utilize the alphabetical cell system, and
But do we know
head-
that as characters?
You as characters would probably not know that. Remember in 2007, Marcus came to you and told you, hey, there's someone new on the scene. They may contact you.
You just gave us a major spoiler there.
Well, he already told that to us. It was just I didn't know which side we were on.
Yeah.
But for
But
more,
the
go ahead.
What is it?
chick that we talked... Well, I mean, it hasn't been said definitively. Like, we have been working for the Outlaws, but the chick that we talked to last session, she is, like, definitively with Delta Green, right?
Yeah, like she's Agent Charlotte, which is the...
But
you
the
were
Outlaws
told that
are
she's
Delta
the-
Green,
Yes.
right?
Like,
Yeah.
they're both Delta Green, but they...
Do they stay
They're-
out of each other's way or something, or how does that work?
I mean, that might be getting a bit too much into it, but it's...
Okay.
They both exist. They both have a lot to do with kind of keeping the unnatural undercover and protecting people, but they have different mentalities and different philosophies about some other stuff. Like I like the Outlaws are all about like destroy it, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
But the program, who is the other Delta Green, the program is a little different.
They want to harness it.
Yeah, they're very much like, oh, we can use it. But the old Delta Green's like, no, you can't use it.
That's fascinating. Well, I've got a GM question.
Yeah.
If you were a player, what would you do next? How would you?
Is that a serious question?
Would just like how would you sort of like crack the case wide open and like win the game?
And just like where is the next biggest piece of evidence?
It's like low key though. Like it's a casual question.
Just a casual question amongst friends. That's really what it is. I don't know how to answer that. I think that right now you guys are in a bit of a tactical situation. I love the idea. One thing I think I'm so glad it's gone the way it has, is you guys are like, you guys as players and your characters are so nervous about running into another one of these clockwork creatures. Like, and you guys were so serious about it that you're like, let's go get some bombs. Let's blow up this house in suburbia because we're afraid of what's in there, which is like the right answer.
Yeah.
The big question, really, obviously, I would say there's like parallel universe shit going on. This dude somehow has tapped into some occult thing where he can like build these buildings that are like in between these different worlds. That's obvious. But like, I just don't understand where the demon shit's coming from.
Yeah.
That's the big question. Because the demon hasn't come up with anything with Carcosa. Doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that. That's like a offshoot timeline, presumably, of an alternate future or present that happens.
Well, you know what? And even you guys have found the names of several demons that are shared with people, which is also, I think it was either Dace or Jean who was like, what is going on here?
I just had a thought. I was thinking about Delta Green versus D&D, and for some reason my mind went to theme parks, theme park rides.
Okay.
And I think I would classify D&D as a roller coaster. Like, it's got ups and downs, but it's usually on rails. You don't have to necessarily be railroaded. You could deviate, but when I think of Delta Green, it's fucking bumper cars. Just colliding into information and bouncing back and bouncing. Like
that's not bad. That's not a bad way to put it, really.
Well, thank you for saying that. That just came on to me. And the reason I thought, I was like, how do you feel about GMing that versus DMing Dungeons and Dragons? Like, all of us idiots we have all the facts and we're just like digesting them and not understanding where we're going.
But
is it frustrating as a handler to have the overhead view and then see your players not connecting the dots?
I can imagine that it would be for someone whose goal it is for the players to reach the end and beat the big bad. But that's not the goal. Like, I mean, when we started playing as a group with Jean, we were playing Skystone, and even that, like, I don't know how much Brad had it on rails per se, but it felt like and I don't know, Brad, maybe this is a question for you for when you were doing Skystone. It never felt like you were shoehorning us into any particular way to do something. Like, obviously there were certain combat encounters that were like, kind of destined to occur because they had like mini bosses at them and stuff. But I don't know, it felt like we had a lot of freedom, but that puts a lot of work on you to be able to kind of improvise.
Well, I'm glad it felt that way. I felt like I had it on rails, kind of.
Oh, really?
A little too much is what I felt like. But to the extent,
I disagree with that. I think because
I would
did not
I
feel
would
like
do
we were
it.
on rails.
I would had like a general plan, but I was doing it episode by episode, so I'd see where you end,
Right.
and then basically try to fit it to this end point, somehow.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's how Delta Green is, and I think that's how, like, I don't know, like, I'm just so much more interested in making a cool story with you guys. Like, imagine it's like a decision tree. Like, you start at one spot, and then there's like 3 decisions, and each one of those decisions has 3 possibilities, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more convoluted as you go out. But eventually, they actually all start to then like curve back into each other, and so you kind of like start at one spot and you end at one spot. Now, but the journey there is like who knows, right?
Right.
You start with the roots and you get the branches.
Yeah.
And the trunk is the ride that we made friends
Along the way.
If that's your theme park analogy, what is the drug analogy for Delta Green versus?
Do we need a drug analogy?
Why not? We've already brought it up. What's the drug analogy?
I don't know if this is a good
D&D
analogy
is
to make.
weed.
If there's anyone under 18
Delta
listening to this,
Green,
cover your ears.
It's crocodile.
Crocodile.
Crocodile. It rots your insides. Yeah, that's accurate.
All right. How about some? How about we hit up some questions real quick?
No, fuck that. I don't want no.
Okay, what's happening?
What's our listeners' favorite Arby's dinner?
Yeah, that'll be a poll. Let's pick your favorite Arby's meal. So we put out some questions on Patreon, on Reddit, on Twitter. It was a little short notice, so we didn't really get a lot back. But we did get some questions, some serious questions, and then one what I'm going to call a not serious question. We'll get to that not serious one here in a minute. But
Okay.
Here's actually, this is not a bad one to start with. This is from this is from Patreon. This is from one of our patrons, Old Possum Pete, who used to be named something else. It was one of our other patrons who we've had from before, but they changed their name on
Well,
Old Possum Pete.
turns up in the old saloon again.
Was
Old
it used to be
Possum.
the Raccoon Rascal?
So Old Possum Pete wants to know, well, howdy, gentlemen. That's not what he wrote, but that's what I'm putting in there. How did y'all meet John? From, like, all the way across the world. That's...
One dusky day.
Are we going to answer it in the voice?
No, we're not. We're not. We're done with the voice.
We were all 3 young boys in a online chat room, and
This is going...
Actually,
Let's not go down that road.
I actually met John on Grindr, and
As one does.
he was such a generous lover.
Such
He
a
was a little
charming-
bit too generous,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't actually want this generosity from a lover,
But-
and I think you'd be better as a friend.
But you'd be great as someone to play tabletop games with.
But if you want to play tabletop role, no. So John is my sister's fiance.
Yeah.
And my sister is the smartest one of us siblings, and she was doing a postdoc in South Africa, and that's how she met John.
Yeah.
So she was over there researching AIDS and HIV, and yeah, they had a mutual love of psytrance music.
Is that really how
they've been
that's that really how they
Really?
met?
Well, that wasn't
They
the
met at
thing,
a
but it was a
rave?
factor. No, they didn't meet at a rave, but
Yeah.
I don't know. John, he's gone, so we're supposed to shit on him, but he's honestly one of the most amazing human beings that I've ever met in my life. And
I think the first time I met him was we were playing through the Enterprisers, which was a homebrew
was
was a homebrew Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game that I was running.
We haven't even talked about the Enterprises
Dude, the
on this
Enterprises, man.
podcast.
John was on
That's
that?
a fantastic
No,
game.
he wasn't on it. He like sat in one session because he was like interested in tabletop RPG, but he'd never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at Dace's.
Yeah, we should go back to that.
God, maybe one day.
I like Toad.
Maybe one day. You miss Toad. Yeah. So second question. Pardon me, let me get back in it. Are y'all gonna do more Delta Green after Impossible Landscapes or something else?
Do you have to every entry?
It's
you're just
Possum
leaning
Pete.
into it.
That's how.
Oh, it's
Okay, it's still Possum Pete's
still
question.
Possum Pete.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's got multiple questions.
Well, thank you, Possum Pete, for your question.
Well,
So here's
we're probably never going to finish this, so no.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
you guys are gonna like get in a death spiral where every time you make a new character, it's just gonna die right out the gates. It's gonna be
In the
great.
same
my
way.
first thought was like one of us was gonna die in real life before we finish
Oh
it.
yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah.
On air.
So no.
That would be great.
Didn't we talk about having a blood sport Patreon tier early on?
If we didn't, we certainly should have, and I'm into it.
Where we fight.
To the death.
To the death, as
And the patrons elect who fights, and like we have a whole like tier, and yeah.
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna be great.
But also, I've thought about this, and
Bloodsport?
would you be down to run Enterprisers?
I don't know, like I really enjoyed running Enterprisers. Enterprisers was it was an interesting one. It was a D&D 5th edition game that starts in the real world, or in the normal world. It's a homebrew setting for the most part, but some of the pieces are borrowed. For instance, we start in a world called the Silver Empire, but then immediately go to Sigil, which was which was pretty fun. And it was Dace, Brad, and Robert, right?
Who is my brother?
Yeah, who's
Robert,
Dace's brother.
Yes.
Did we have somebody else, or is that it?
That was the core. I think Jessica tried a couple of times.
Oh yeah. And then Dace's sister tried it a couple of times, but yeah, it was a really fun game. But then just kind of life got crazy, and and we just kind of got in a weird place with the game where we just kind of quit playing it for a while. I'd love.
You
to go back
should have
to it.
killed Dace. At one occasion, I know you were going way too easy on him.
Oh, you think so?
Wait,
Oh wait,
me?
Jake.
Why me?
Jake was there with
Jake!
us.
Oh,
He
how did
played.
I
forget Jake?
He played Taxa.
Okay, I got to tell this story. Well, it's not a story. So our friend Jake played a character named Taxa,
A tabaxi.
And-
He was a cat person.
a tabaxi, a cat person, and we played, I don't know, 8 or 10 sessions.
Yeah.
And then finally on Roll20, one day I looked down
I didn't know.
and read his name backwards, and it spelled out big ass cat.
Which is just
Genius.
so stupid.
It's amazing.
Oh
God damn. Jake was also he's so, God bless him, I love him, he's one of my best friends in the world, but there's one session where he played in his work building in the basement, and he wasn't supposed he was on the clock, and he was just in the
Which
basement.
we didn't know. He told us. He's like, yeah,
we
this
didn't
time
know.
is fine.
Yeah, so if this was Jake in the same situation John would be, Jake would be having his phone down in his lap on the airplane, saying stuff occasionally.
Exactly like that.
Imagine being on an airplane trying to surreptitiously play Delta Green. You're like, I burn the body.
I strike the child across the face and hope she's an elder god.
Oh god. All right, but this
Fun times.
So this next question is actually very relevant to kind of this kind of route of conversation. Oh, but to answer the question, we don't really know. We'll see. Impossible Landscapes is going to go for a while. I don't want to give an estimate on how far I think we are. I don't want to. It is, but these guys are in the thick of it, and I think we're going to easily. Like I said, we started last year in October. It's August now. I would be surprised if we played this regularly. I'd be surprised if we didn't go 2 years.
Jesus.
Yeah. But again, the way we play, something I've noticed, like I've seen other people's playthroughs and stuff of Impossible Landscapes. Man, they blow through this shit. I'm like, how do they play so fast?
How long are their sessions?
Like they'll put like 5 hours into the night floors. Like
It's because their players aren't assholes that just fuck around with like.
We don't fuck around that much. We do not fuck around that much.
I think
we do a lot of role playing.
Yeah, you guys do a lot, and I love it. Like it's one of the reasons why I love the way we do it. I mean, because we're just enjoying ourselves, and I've said it a dozen times. We're gonna play this, and we're gonna put it out there, even if no one ever listens to it, because we're enjoying it. You know,
2 years,
100%.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. But we'll see. Maybe we'll bring Enterprisers Net back at some point, or maybe one of you guys could run something else. But here is another good question. Yeah. Here's another question. From Old Possum Pete. Skystone win?
We actually do have all those recordings, don't we?
Yeah, I do. I don't know about that because that would take a lot of editing, and it's way rougher than this.
Yes, it is very rough. I mean, you want to talk about just...
So it's cool to talk about. I don't know how enjoyable it would be to listen to. Back.
Well, I mean, because I think a lot of this, and as we've done this, we've gotten a lot better at it. Where like when I'm like looking through the book and stuff, you guys will kind of see that and kind of pick up and kill the dead air, and stuff like that. It's better to listen to, and but when we were doing that, I mean, it was just purely us playing, not we knew we were recording it, but we were like, no one's ever gonna layer this. We were kind of just recording it for us so that we could listen back between sessions.
Yeah. There's just a home campaign. It's a difference between a podcast and a home campaign.
Yeah. And I think I've learned a lot more from DM and from Joe just sitting in on this, so hopefully I would be doing that a little bit smoother too. I think the answer to that, if we did it again, it'd be like a revisit, in the distant future. And I want to like DM again some kind of campaign.
Oh well, yeah.
That would be really cool.
Well, you remember at the end of Skystone, he really set the stage for like a sequel. Like it was like the post-credit scene where it's like, oh, there's a sequel coming.
So
how would you even recap that entire season?
I don't think
season, but that campaign.
You would have to sit down and write it out. Like it was so good.
Yeah.
Like Brad, like I think you're being harsh on yourself, Brad. Like you did an extravagant job for having done literally made every single thing in there. Brad made all the maps, and he made custom pixel art for our characters, which was just like icing on the cake. Like we were just like all so blown away that he took so much time to do this for our characters.
Complete homebrew campaign. Knocked it out of the park. We had a blast playing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
Well, and at the end of it,
too. The thing I probably would take out that didn't work quite as well. One of the biggest homebrew things was, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, so we had like a Super Saiyan.
Oh
what's
yeah,
the word I'm looking for.
We had our like transformations, like
basically they could jump from
with the Skystone bracelets.
Yeah,
the characters could jump from whatever level they're at to level 10 for a couple of turns if they so choose, with some repercussions. But that didn't necessarily plan out how I thought it would. But it was an interesting idea.
It's such a fucking cool idea.
Yeah.
And we did use it a few times.
Yeah.
And there were a few times it ended up really good, and there are other times it didn't end up so good. Which is what you want, really. I think one of the big things with we've talked about Skystone a few times. I think one of the big things with Skystone is that there were two other people involved in Skystone. We had Matt, who was originally with us
at the very
beginning. Because originally it was Brad DMing, and it was me, Dace, and Matt. And then Matt got busy. I don't think he enjoyed it. Was his first foray into tabletop RPGs. I don't think he enjoyed it that much, honestly.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Yeah.
It's not everybody's bag.
It's not everybody's bag. Or maybe we were just too into it. Maybe I don't know.
That's probably more likely. We just got way too into it. He's like, these fucking nerds.
But then so at first it was me, Dace, and Matt. And then Matt dropped out, and then Jean and Riley came in. So if we ever decided to put it out, I mean, we'd have to talk to Matt and Riley and make sure that they're okay with that. Maybe they're not. Like, we're not going to put them out there for people to listen to and stuff without their permission. Because not everybody wants to do that. So yeah. But it is an interesting idea. Okay.
I'm pretty sure John, Matt, and Riley would be fine with that, but we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. So the last one from Possum Pete here. Why does Dace only play absolute psychopaths? Dace?
Okay. Well, that's easy, Possum Pete. Thank you for asking. In fantasy role-playing games, you typically play what you want to be. Like,
okay.
A paladin in search of justice and the truth, or like a sorcerer plumbing the depths of arcane knowledge. And what I like to do in role-playing games is unleash my insanity and just... I'm still regulated. You haven't seen Days Unhinged, but I just want to go...
You haven't... Well, the thing is, even with Finnegan, in Interludes, Finnegan has not had a chance to really get out there yet.
Therapy's
on a serious note,
expensive, and we're doing the best we can. We're trying to expel all of these personalities.
Bit by
might
bit.
take a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. I actually can't afford therapy, so this is all that I have. This is like me basically flushing all of my toxins down this role-playing toilet.
It's like Shutter Island in a way. Like, we're just giving him room to act it out. And hoping that he comes back at the end. Spoilers for Shutter Island, by the way. Whoops.
But no, psychopaths are the most fun characters to play. It's just like it's basically like playing. What's the in D&D? There's a particular alignment that is
chaotic evil.
Look down. Chaotic. No, it's
neutral.
True neutral.
True neutral. That's what a psychopath would be.
Or chaotic neutral.
Chaotic neutral?
Is that right?
Are you talking
Joe?
about? There's. I think people who play. I can't remember. It's either chaotic evil or chaotic neutral is typically called chaotic stupid.
Yeah.
It's probably like, chaotic
people
neutral.
at the
That's
table.
Like, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it's the people that at the table that are like that guy. Like they're just doing stupid shit to be stupid. And
you like to be that guy?
I really try to toe the line and not be that guy. Like be true to the character and be as unhinged as they are without fucking up the narrative or like stepping on other players' toes. I don't know if I achieve that every time, but
I think
I try to draw that line.
I think with Benji, is a really good example of, and you talked about it on your character creation episode, that Benji has this way of kind of coming off as goofy because he has the voice, but he's had a lot of really serious moments, like some pretty dark shit, especially this last season. And I don't know, like, I think that a lot of what you've done has been a lot more true to character than it has been trying to be goofy. But sometimes it is nice to have that catharsis of playing someone who's fucking unhinged. There's nothing wrong with it every now and then. And, and one of the things we talked about when we were like, we were going to do interludes, that we were going to play reverberations. One of the things we talked about is like, this is a good chance, just not take it as serious, because I think we all take Impossible Landscapes serious enough to make it narrative and fun, to follow the story. Obviously we have a good time and we joke about some pretty dark shit sometimes, but at the same time, we're like, you guys are out there meeting Axel Armstrong and shit, like, it's not a super
favorite character of the campaign.
Like, it's not
favorite, hands down.
Yeah, it's not the most serious Impossible Landscapes playthrough out there. Like, it's just not. But to have the opportunity to just kind of go off the reservation, do your own thing, I don't know. It's nice every now and then.
Yeah. In summation, why do I play Psychopaths? Because it's fucking fun.
It can be fun. Yeah.
That's why I play Psychopaths.
But you did say something there that was really important, which is that you can play something like that, but still be cognizant of, like, that you don't step on the narrative, or you don't, like, stomp the narrative into the ground, that you're not stepping on other players' toes, and stuff like that. Because there is a way.
Oh, yeah. Taking it back to the Enterprisers, my brother, Robert, played a Dragonborn fighter called Dragon Bjorn. Because he couldn't be bothered to come up with a name. And, God, he was just like a death machine. He had one answer to every single situation, and it's violence.
Yeah, that's where we left off. Is we're about to get in a fight with our companions, our NPC companions.
Well, we were on an airship, and Robert actually, or Dragon Bjorn.
No, it was somebody. Robert. It was Robert.
It was Robert. It was
Let's
Robert.
be honest.
We'll say it. And Joe, as a DM, had to do one of those things like, "You sure about that? You sure about that?"
Says, "Yeah, I don't like him."
Gave him a mulligan, like he fully killed the dude, and then we had to backtrack and do it like.
No, he didn't kill him. He was about to fight him. He was about to attack him.
I think Dace is right. I think he straight up murdered him.
I promise you, no, he didn't kill him.
Okay, maybe he didn't.
We were about to fight him.
We've got recordings.
I'll make a bet with you right now.
I'm trying to get my brother in jail. He killed that man.
I'll make
my
a bet
brother
with
killed
you.
a man.
What do you want to bet?
How about a sixer? How about a 6-pack of what are the things that you shove up your ass?
All right, next question.
Oh, next question. Well, that is all we have from Possum Pete. Actually.
He did say on Twitch that's exactly how his voice sounds. So.
He's here. Possum Pete, fantastic. Oh, we're glad to have it. I'm glad we're true to character.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Then the only other question we had, like I said, it was a bit short notice because we didn't know Jean wasn't going to be available. The only other question we had was how magnets work. So, Brad, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Well,
you get your hand off that keyboard.
When you think really hard about something and you just say something over and over again, you speak it into an existence, and that's what happened with Dr. Magnet.
Old Dr. Magnet, the inventor of magnetism.
So he's a superhero.
He just thought about stuff and said them out loud enough until they came into being.
Okay, well, there you go. Reddit user. That's that was your.
That's
your
the power of thought.
Yeah.
What is that called? People that say if you say something enough, it'll.
I can't
what is that
remember. Called? It's not real, so it doesn't need a real name anyway. So.
Well, tell that to Dr. Magnet.
Yeah.
When did magnets come up?
Someone on Reddit asked a throwaway question. That's all it was.
No, it was a bot.
Yeah. Well, and so, well, I don't know. Like, you know, a lot of us kind of talking, you know, has been about, you know, like other games. Like, I don't know. You know, one of the big things that, you know, we're a small podcast. We haven't been doing this long, less than a year. This is very much still an amateur kind of operation. This is just something we're doing on the side because we thought it would be kind of fun. I don't know, like, you know, there are, you know, really awesome professional podcasters out there who have time and resources to do multiple shows, you know, and I would love to do something like that, but gosh.
Yeah. It's crazy that we got the Arby's sponsorship and they didn't.
It's just nuts. I didn't see it coming, you know?
Yeah.
And Trent Reznor doing this backing track.
Trent Reznor of 9 Inch Nails is one of our Patreon supporters? That's
Question
crazy,
mark?
Brad.
No, he just made this music.
No, we're paying him.
Oh, because we know him personally.
We're paying him an Arby's sauce.
Oh. Yeah.
Where are we going with
I
this?
don't know.
What were you saying, Joe? Sorry.
Well, like I said, you know, we would love to. One of the things that we were wanting to talk about too was like, you know, like what are some of the podcasts that we listen to, or like things that we've heard that made us kind of like that, like inspire us. Whether it's like movies you've watched or books you've read, you know, or other podcasts you listen to.
You mean the DG genre?
Well, that, but even just like that kind of inspire us just to kind of like do stuff. One of the big things that I don't know, maybe it's come up. Like Brad and Dace are both musicians, and like Brad made our intro. He's got some ambient stuff that we want to try to get online to use in the backgrounds of our recordings and stuff. Him and Dace are both in a band. What are you guys?
Oh, you're just talking about in general, like
yeah, just like like general like what's inspired you guys.
Well,
but especially if it's like kind of DG related.
Money.
Just hard cold cash.
I'll sell myself out in a heartbeat.
God, it would be so nice if this were actually a money making enterprise.
I'm trying to think of something we haven't already brought up because we talk about True Detective and Annihilation to Death, which Annihilation has great music in it as well.
Oh, God,
if you
so
ever look
good.
that up, that composer, he hadn't done much besides that. But
God, would you need to do much more? Like it was just
it's a wild ride. That was like.
Wait,
Go ahead.
I'm confused. Are we talking about what inspires us Delta Green wise, or what just inspires us generally as human beings?
Probably
like
Delta Green.
Maybe Delta Green wise.
Not to get up every morning, like.
Yeah. Thank God, I have nothing there.
Well, like I know. Have either of you guys seen? It's up. We've killed Brad. Brad's dying. Have either of you guys seen Dark?
I know you've been talking about that.
Yes.
I haven't seen that yet.
I saw the first episode of it. I haven't followed through with it, but yeah,
dude, it starts off kind of like okay, I don't, you know, but like it takes it has a bit of an exponential curve of like what the fuck is going on. Like you want to talk about like that feeling of Delta Green of like what is happening? I'm barely hanging on by a thread of knowing what's happening. Like that feeling is what you get when you watch Dark.
In a similar vein, somebody recommended me the follow-up to Yellowstone, which is 1892 or 1410.5. I don't do good with numbers.
Really?
But Anyway, I watched the wrong series because there's also a different series called like 1890.
Yeah, that's what
which takes place on a boat.
That's what me and Gabby told you about. We told you about that one, but then you
Okay.
didn't even watch it on purpose. You watched.
I'll
it
be
on
right
accident.
back.
Okay.
I watched it accidentally because I thought I was watching the prequel or the sequel to Yellowstone, but I ended up watching a movie or a series about a ghost boat.
A ghost boat.
But it's really fucking sick.
It's
It's got some Delta Green vibes. Like it's eerie, you know.
It's got some it's got a very Lovecraftian vibes. I would say it is almost completely like very much in line with the Lovecraftian feel and like in a lot of its theming. Like very nautical horror inspired.
Yeah. What's the actual name? The number?
Is it 1890? I
don't
remember.
This is my whole hang up, man. I'm bad with numbers. This is why I accidentally watched the right
It's 1899. It's 1899.
Yes.
It's
definitely not a Yellowstone prequel. 1899.
It's extremely good. And one of the things that's so good about it is they just go so far out of their way to like make things as like one of the biggest things about the movie is like it's like this big luxury liner, but then like down in the bottom of the boat they've got like all the third class passengers who are just basically like stacked on top of each other. And it's
Are we
like
still in movies?
yeah, and like they just go so far to like really give you like an idea of like the extreme disparity of these different people, but they're all kind of in the same really fucked up horrific situation together.
Have y'all ever
It's
seen?
really good.
This is an old school one, and it's kind of, it's very like Delta Green Cthulhu, but it's in the distant future called Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
I've never actually seen it.
Basically, it's like
it's
space travel's a thing, and
Okay.
the ship comes out of nowhere. That they
don't give anything away.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
We'll watch it. I don't.
Okay, we'll watch it.
It's not really a mystery. Like once it's not like
Once
a
it happens,
twist
it
thing.
happens.
It happens, but I guess it's kind of unique because you think it's like straight up sci-fi, but then it takes us.
Okay, I like that.
It's a fucking quality
Have
movie.
either of you guys seen or heard of The Empty Man?
No.
No.
What is that?
It is I think Netflix series. Holy shit, the biggest, probably one of the biggest, just mind-blowing twist of any series I've watched. I mean,
It's a series.
It was good. Like
I'm looking up a picture, and this guy looks pretty freaky.
And once it happens, is it? Well, actually, let me make sure it's The Empty Man. Is that what it's called?
I'm looking at a guy with a bunch of arms, skeleton dude with a bunch of arms coming out of his back.
Sorry, no, it's a film. It is a film.
Okay, but that's it.
Yes, it is the Empty Man. It's a movie. It's so good. It got a 6.2 on IMDb and a
Dude,
75
you can't trust that shit at all.
They got 75 on Rotten Tomatoes. That really surprised me.
You can't trust Rotten Tomatoes at all anymore, in my opinion.
Oh, did they go down?
Well, I mean, I've just had such, at least in my taste, I've had such like hit or miss. Like I'll look like something and it'll be like shit, but sometimes we'll agree on stuff.
So, like, yeah, The Empty Man is one of those, and it has a classic, like, the unnatural is always kind of around the periphery. And it's one of those things, like, I might have mentioned it on the podcast before. Like, when it comes to horror movies or, like, horror content, the second that you get to see the bad thing, that you actually lay eyes on it, it's just not scary anymore. And I think that's something that like Lovecraft kind of touched on in his day, like, which was like this idea of something that's horrible because it's unknowable and unseeable, that things are too big and too powerful or just simply too bizarre for you even to comprehend, which
You definitely wouldn't like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Then
no,
I would not recommend that.
isn't that an anime?
It's many things. Among being in anime.
Oh, speaking of, definitely not speaking of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is something you should watch, Joe, because it's like,
I've heard it's a fever dream. Like, it's just...
Oh, it's
yes,
so
yes, that is the
dumb and
best way
ridiculous.
to explain it, a fever dream. But going back to like DG stuff, The Lighthouse.
Oh my
With,
god, yes.
Robert Pattinson, directed by Robert Eggers, and also starring.
See, I guess you can go ahead.
God,
with
what's
the
his-
whole-
Why can't I remember his name?
I can't remember his name either.
Willem Dafoe.
William Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Um,
fantastic.
So
See,
good.
I guess there's multiple ways to interpret that. I don't see that as supernatural. I see that as all like psychological.
Yes, well,
That's
that's why I
the
brought
thing.
it up, because it is psychological.
But that's my
That's
interpretation of
why-
the whole thing. Is like this shit is going on.
That the
in
individuals are just going
Pattinson's
crazy.
head, essentially. But I mean, when I was watching, I was like, definitely like, is there something? The way they did the trailer, it made it seem almost like something weird was going on. Like supernaturally. But after I watched it, I was like, I think this is just someone going insane, or two people going
yeah.
insane. I can't
that-
tell
I mean,
which if it's one or two.
And that's the cool thing about it is it could go either way. It's like that moment at the end of Inception where he spins the top and it looks like it's
Yeah.
kind of about to fall down, but you don't really know. Like it just you could definitely push it either way. And one of the cool things about like inside the Delta Green game itself, like when you're actually playing the game, there's this idea that like and this is something that I've heard someone talk about. They're like, what if you had a Delta Green operation? You ran a game where nothing unnatural was happening. And the
You just
That'd be
get so
hilarious.
paranoid.
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
And the
But
whole
it's-
that would be
but the
great.
whole-
And then
but the whole thing
the
is
players
just
are
that-
making the shit up.
yeah, that's
whole
like.
time.
But the whole thing is like that somebody saw something or like a group of people experienced something that overall is explainable. Maybe there was a gas leak and they all had a hallucination. It's like or something. Whatever, something mundane, but it gets everybody. It gets into everybody's head.
Yeah, that's basically The Lighthouse.
That's the light.
I'll tell you something, and I don't know if you've seen this either, Joe, but I need to get Dace to watch this, maybe tonight. Classic, obviously like supernatural, but The Thing.
The Thing.
Have you seen that, Joe?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
original back in the day? Yeah, okay, good. It was
It has.
that is great.
Well, I don't know. At the end of that, like that's not really. It doesn't really leave it up to question what's happening at the end. Like
It
there's
does. It's a whole. You don't
Don't
know. Well,
you don't.
that
You don't
was
know who's
basically.
leaving. Yeah.
Dace, that was the whole inspiration for that Skystone Halloween thing where that monster was like mimicking y'all.
Yeah.
That's basically The Thing.
That was so good too. God, what like? I always loved that. I always loved like kind of like again, like some people who are like when they sit down to do a role playing game, they're like, no, like this is very serious. We're doing everything exactly like it is. No deviation. We enjoy a little bit of levity and a little bit of goofiness. Brad had like a special Halloween session in Skystone, which is really good. When we were doing Enterprisers, I did a special Christmas session.
Oh my god! I was just thinking about that the other week. I swear to God, I was
It's
just thinking
basically
about that
like-
like last week.
So it was basically like Krampus. You
Yeah,
know what
like-
that is?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
except worse.
That
Oh,
was the
God,
thing I was
no.
saying that I think you should have killed Dace's character.
Oh, with the Dustman.
No, with the Woman of Blades or whatever, Lady of Blades.
Oh,
the
yeah.
one that
Lady of Pain.
Pain. Well, yeah.
Yes, the Lady of Pain, who's
Whoever
the
runs
the
Sigil.
ruler of Sigil. Yeah.
So it's actually an alley oop. I don't know. Joe can set the stage better than I could, as far as the actual situation that was going on.
I don't. It's too complicated. It's like it's too much
Yeah.
background to explain. Basically, I had created this very Krampus-y kind of like bad Santa that came after them in Sigil, and
I think bad.
it was supposed to. It was supposed to be. Yeah. It was supposed to be. It's someone who, instead of bringing gifts, he takes things and stuffs them in his sack. Things and people, never to be seen again.
Bag of holding shit.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that eventually he wasn't supposed to be killable. He was basically it was supposed to be like this long chase scene, and it was just gonna be them trying to get away and eventually making it and finding refuge, and he wasn't supposed to be killable. But then Dace rolled a natural 20 on something to make, and there was only one thing I said about this thing. It's basically like, there's only one rule: this creature's not allowed to enter this one certain place, and if he does, and Dace just rolled it. I was like, I can't not. So he basically killed an unkillable creature that wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. To be fair, that was actually Robert's idea.
Oh yeah.
When I initially had the idea, I was like trying to figure out how to put the dustman into his own bag of holding.
His own sack. Yeah.
And then Robert was like, dude, what if you just made him like come over into the Lady of Pain's domain? I was like, oh my god. And then rolled a nat 20. Then that's how you kill an unkillable.
That's how you unkill a god.
Now
you just pit them against each other.
Yeah, you just got to use another god.
it's gonna be like an episode of Santa Claus. When you get back, you're gonna be turning into Dustmas. You'll like wake up with a fat belly one day. Next day, you'll grow a beard.
You'll be the Dustman himself.
So I was playing a lizard folk in that campaign. Imagine a lizard folk with a Santa Claus beard. That's just fucked up, man.
Yeah, God, talking about D&D does make me miss it. It does make me miss D&D. Like, there's definitely something about the fantasy setting that, there's a certain itch you don't get scratched from, from like a Delta Green setting. But
yeah, I feel that.
At the same time, I think one of the big things that drew us to Delta Green. I mean, I was first interested in Delta Green because I listened to other people play it. I think the first people I ever heard was the Glass Cannon crew when they did it, and I was just like, man, this game is great. And then I listened to a few others. I listened to what are they? Black Project Gaming. They have a good one. There's someone else too. I can't remember. But yeah, I was just interested in running it, and we had just kind of gotten done with Skystone. Well, no, we've been done with Skystone for a long time.
A little bit after that.
Yeah, we hadn't played anything for quite some time when we picked up on Delta Green. But I'm glad we did, because we played Control Group, and we've talked about that in the past. We played all the way through Control Group, and that was getting Jean. Jean played all the way through. I always kind of feel bad. It was like Jean was really, really just kind of getting his bearings in a fantasy setting, and then we tore him out of it and threw him into a completely new system.
Yeah, but I mean, John is so sharp. That was the last thing I was worried about. He literally just 3 weeks ago ran a campaign as a handler.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about John.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's super bright.
Yeah.
What if we made a Patreon stretch goal to make a second D&D campaign with the Enterprisers?
No. We could do it, but would we run it from the beginning, or just because I don't know if I have the recordings even, and they'd be again very rough.
No, it would have to be a new campaign. It would be it would be a tier on Patreon. Once every month we have a Enterprisers campaign.
Maybe.
I don't know. Just brainstorming.
What do you think about it? Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's probably. Did you got some?
No. I was gonna say, if we're doing that, we could just do the one shot. If it's gonna be that infrequent, it could be. I don't know what that one's called. Just the one shot campaign.
We should absolutely. God. So, every year we have Thanksgiving one shot. We're all from Oxford, kind of, and every year Joe comes back and runs a one shot, and that's the only time we get to play RPGs in person,
which is so much better. God,
so much fucking fun. Like, just get all the junk food and just like, it's just so fun.
Pour all the junk food in a big bowl, then pour beer in the bowl and eat the junk food in the beer.
with a ladle.
Junk food. We do keg stands, but it's just like refried beans.
Oh, no.
That's great.
But yeah,
I'm
I
hungry
don't know.
now.
Maybe we could record the Thanksgiving one shot. I actually recently had a new idea for the Thanksgiving one shot, which I thought would be pretty funny.
That was a cliffhanger.
I know you had.
That was a cliffhanger.
You had one, so we had to miss one this past year because my brother was not able to play. But I know you're really stoked about the idea that you had.
Yeah.
Have you pivoted?
I've still got them both, so that's
Okay. All right.
You got 2 years
Well, I'm
worth of
already looking
material.
forward to it.
It's got 2 years ready to go, locked and loaded.
Let's start a separate podcast that only drops one episode every year. Thanksgiving.
Oh man.
That's how you make money.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you very much for being here with us. Again, we're sorry that, we love to put out regular Impossible Landscapes content. We're trying our damnedest, but freaking John just has to fly back to South Africa, and apparently it just is a huge thing.
I
But
hope we didn't
seriously,
get any peanuts.
God, would you anymore? Like, I'm never eating a peanut ever again. But
John's probably miserable right now. What do you think he's doing?
I assume he's listening back to the podcast.
Must be.
Full quizzing.
But yeah,
That's the only capacity in which he exists is on the
He's the
podcast. So he
podcast.
must be listening
to the podcast.
to our past podcast. Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
notes.
But yeah, but next
Rewinding
week,
Joe's speech backwards to see if there's a hidden message in it.
nice. But yeah, so we'll try to be back with Impossible Landscapes next week. To pick back up with the Citry with Ophelia Citry's house, with where the team was. If you like what you're listening to, man, come over and join the community on Reddit. We're at r/greenboxgaming, no spaces. That's where we post a lot of our stuff. Most of our stuff is on Reddit and on Twitter, and you can find the links to all of our socials there on Reddit. If you really like what you're listening to, and you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, then please consider going over to patreon.com/greenboxgaming_ no spaces, and consider becoming a contributor. I would like to welcome Greg. Greg is new with us this time.
What up, Greg?
Thank you,
Greg.
How you doing, dude?
Yeah.
How's your day been, Greg?
Oh, Greg.
Oh, Greg.
How's it hanging in the dick area?
Right down there. Well, thank you, Greg, for supporting us, and he joins. And that the funny thing is that we have now breached 10 whole patrons.
Nice.
Steve, Kyle, Peter, Stuart, Andre, Captain Ketchup, Mr. Grimm, Old Possum Pete, Carson,
Possum Pete.
and Greg. We really appreciate you guys. You guys help us to pay for hosting this stuff, so it doesn't have to come out of our own pockets, and we really appreciate that. It really goes a long way.
Welcome to our little dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Welcome. Thanksgiving's gonna be weird.
Can't wait for it.
But yeah. Besides that, guys, thank you for coming together for this little Q&A. It's a little something different. It's not really us playing a game, just kind of sitting around talking. But it's been nice. It's been nice to catch up.
Yep. We'll try to add the history of magnets by next.
Yeah,
next
we'll
time.
get that. We'll get that rounded up for you next time.
Random Reddit user.
Haunting horror 4358.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Thank you for that
That was
amazing
funny.
question.
That was a funny question.
That was great content. Thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
Well,
All right. Well, guys,
How much do you want to shed on?
no, we're done.
Do you want to
That's
dig
enough.
deeper into it?
That's enough. He was just having a joke.
yeah, it was funny. It was great.
All right. Well, it's time we ended this one, guys. Welcome back. Welcome
No,
back.
that's not it. You got it all fucked up.
Fuck!
All right. thank you very much, guys, for joining me today. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We will catch you next week. And everybody, stay safe and stay sane. Bye.
Peace.
Yoing.